Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training, the Alliance. We're back for this episode. And as usual, we're here to talk about topics that are, I think, impactful to many. And we call it, bringing the soul food because it's nourishment for your soul. I've got my alliance partners here, Dr. Charlie and Raymond. And as usual, we're going to chop it up. It's just a collaboration. We had a little discussion before the call, before the show, and we said, what can we do? And where are we at right now? And today, at the time of this recording, it's Father's Day. Exactly Father's Day. And as it is Father's Day, we want to talk about this idea of, because my upbringing, my father wasn't present in my life. And the memories that I have of him are not good ones. They're not positive ones that I can share with you. None. I was going to say very little. None. There is no positive as I can remember. Um, very vengeful man. I don't know what is. Now that I'm older, um, I think instead of say anger or resentment, I think of where was he, what happened in his life that made him so angry and so bitter at the end of the day. But here's my point that I want to talk to. When he passed, we found out, possibly my brother and I found out, possibly 2 years or more after he passed, that he was gone. And then we kind of just said, oh, and that was about the reaction. Oh. And then we found out that he was buried as an unmarked John Doe, a number in the ground. And then 20 years later, possibly, after my grandmother passed away, his mom, she was being buried in a cemetery, and they said, hey, over there, not far, is his plot. Went over and looked, and it was a number in the ground. They put a number there because they couldn't identify. And then so his sisters, his siblings, then gathered some money together and put a tombstone in. And so finally, after that time, he's got some identification. So my point is, in life, it's an idea of earned and not given. I am certain no one. There's a great book out by Robin Sharma that says, "Who will cry when you die?" Um, and that's the thing, some people live a lot less life, but the impact they make is incredible. Some people get to live a little longer, and the impact they make is non-existent or negative in a way. So when we think about it on Father's Day, this day, and could this apply to Mother's Day and any day, your life, but it's these days that, there's a celebration to be a parent. First it was Mother's Day, and now it's Father's Day. And some people, you really find out it's earned and not given. To be a title, I'm a big one on this, of uncle, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, any title you want to give out to somebody, king, whatever it is, general, leader, boss. In my opinion, those things are earned. They're not just titles. You get them by a title. You get what it comes with it, which is respect. You want love, earned and not given. You want respect, earned and not given. You want to be the boss? That's a great name, if you like it. Well, earn it. It's amazing when you earn something. You don't have to be called the boss. People want to give it to you. It's no matter how much you push them back. No, no, no. It's respect. While some people want to lead by dictator, and they think that's how they lead by a strong fist. but they don't get it. So our life, all our lives, are dictated by the bed we make. We get to lie in it one day. And so, what's a legacy? What are you doing now? Begin with the end in mind. And here's the thing, when we're young, we have piss and vinegar. We can hold resentment. Our ability to hold resentment is high. Our anger level, our quick triggers, all of these things are very high because we have these hormones running in us. We can, someone cuts us off, or we can hold resentment. We want to get people back. We can hold on to things. And as you get older, those things start to whittle. And you are now looking to, in the latter years of your life, you're looking to, some of us have social, simpler things. We forgive things. We don't have the same piss and vinegar. It lessens. But now we want people around us. We may want somebody to check in on us, but now no one does. I've been to seniors' homes, to visit, and it's a holiday and nobody comes to see that person. Sometimes it's an unfortunate situation, but other times you go, what was your life like? Why are they here and no one comes to visit? Earned and not given. So I want to throw that over to the fellas and see what you got. What do you think?
Yeah, this is, fascinating topic, and I think it's so important for people to really have a good handle and understanding of it. Because you're right, when we're talking about relationships, whether fathers, mothers, friends, relatives, the relationship that we build, we've got to earn that, right? And it reminds me of an Eleanor Roosevelt wisdom. She said that happiness is a byproduct, right? And so happiness is a byproduct of the actions that we take on a repeated basis to create that environment. And so when you think about the relationships that we have with other people, it's a culmination of all these actions that taken over time to create that relationship. And and that includes a lot of things, right? Showing up, being understanding. One of the people want to grow their friend base. How do I do it? Well, one of the best ways to have a friend is to be a friend, right? And what does that look like? And what are all the things that go into, building a relationship? And I remember reading a wisdom last year, and it said that friendship is not one big thing, it's a thousand little things. And I think that's so true, not only in friendships, but in relationships in general. It's all the small things that show the other person that, hey, we're here to support them, we care about them, we appreciate them, we respect them. And there's actions that have to go behind those words to create the relationship that we're looking for. It can't be just our words, but our actions have to match our words. And when that happens, then we've got a chance to build meaningful relationships. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, right before the call and before the episode and really through this conversation, um, one thing we were all saying and that Alvin said and Charlie said is that we create our reality. Okay, we create our own reality. I find that it's through how we think, how we act, what we speak, what we focus on uh, every single day. Okay, every single day. This is what happens. Okay, and I'll give you guys a great example. Um, Yesterday, I had an amazing day, man. From the moment that I woke up, my wife thought about everything. Okay, she thought about everything. She came into the room with my sons, and she had a paper. And on this paper there were two choices. This is how the day started. On one side, it was, um, do you want breakfast in bed? Okay, we'll take care of that for you. On the other side is, would you like breakfast with us, upstairs? And they were doing this in preparation for Father's Day. And as I think about what being a father means, I would love to have breakfast in bed. But man, being a father is about family. I want to have breakfast with my family. Okay. So this is how you think, this is what you speak, this is your actions. We had breakfast as a family, and throughout the whole day, she had these little cards with choices. Okay, and it was always about something just for me, or it was something that always involved my family, and naturally, I wanted to be with my family. Father's Day is not the same, if I don't share it with family. This is what makes me a father. My sons make me a father. My wife also contributed to me being a father. But now think about this, okay? Belief is so important. Actions are so important. Habits, what we speak, all of this, it truly creates our reality. Because right after breakfast, my wife also had a physical challenge. And this is what's so important, okay? Is that I want myself to be healthy, okay, and to live a long life, to be here as much as possible, right? I look at guys like Charlie. I look at guys like Alvin. They're moving, they're doing their thing, so we can maximize the time we have on this earth. And just the fact that in the card she had a challenge. She was like, "Hey, we can go outside, or we can do a family challenge, 200 push-ups as a family." I'm like, hey, let's do 200 push-ups and let's go outside after. And as we were doing this challenge, even the little baby was trying to get into it, okay, not really doing any push-ups, but trying. I kid you not, guys, my 7-year-old son probably did close to as many push-ups as I did. Okay. And it wasn't easy for him. But sometimes I remember I told him, hey, you can aim for maybe 10, 15 at a time, and we'll just piggyback off of each other. My wife will jump in and everything. I kid you not, guys. He was going for like 30. Okay. He was going for 30 and he was tired, but I could see it in his eyes. Something clicked, right? Something clicked. But this moment has been prepared. It's through habits. We've been working at it. We've been talking about it. We've been doing it. So now, when the moment comes, and I don't think he even realizes what he does. I don't think he even realizes how awesome and impressive this is. I was so impressed. My wife was so impressed. I wasn't expecting any of this. But for him, it's Father's Day, Like, I want to go all in because it's Father's Day. It's an important day for me. So you can tell how excited I'm getting just thinking about this, because it's a great reminder right now of like, wow, we are truly creating this reality. And as fathers, guys, we chase a lot of things, okay? We chase a lot of things because there are a lot of responsibilities or so-called weight, on us. It also comes from perspective, guys. But just these little moments are a great reminder of the happiness that can be in this moment, okay? But this happiness we created. So I urge everyone that's listening, and same thing for me, to continue to be very, very intentional about how we think and how we speak, not just outwardly into the world, but internally. Mostly internally, it starts there, because now I understand also that just me choosing to be with my family, my sons might not understand the whole thing, but they're valued. They know their father wants to be with them. I'm happy about being with them. It's not about like, okay, you all serve me. I'm like, man, no, I love my family. This is the atmosphere I want to set in this home, in this home through everything that we do, through everything that we do. So exactly. I'm smiling just talking about it. I'm so happy. It is truly a blessing, guys. And it starts by what we create. We we do have power. We do have this choice, and we don't need to be perfect. We don't need to do it all. We just need to focus on the right things and do them consistently. And I'll finish off with this wisdom. I forgot exactly who it was, and hopefully I don't completely modify the wisdom. Okay, this is what I remember from it. But um, I think it came from success and how it's not an act, it's a habit. Okay, it's a habit. Therefore, what you consistently do, you become. Okay, or modified by what you consistently think, feel, do, focus on, you create also. And with this, I'll pass the mic.
Yes, yes, yes. Some great points there. And out of those points comes these thoughts that I have here is a few things. So Ray, um, Charlie said it too, happiness, kind of the same thing as a byproduct of or anything. You can put insert anything in there. Is a byproduct of our habits and our actions we take consistently, not once in a while, consistently. And we have to play this long-term game here, chess match, because sometimes as a parent, it's a repetitive, just like most things, it's a repetitive thing. You have to always, in the beginning, pick up your clothes, do this, do repetitive. It's very repetitive. And if you're not willing to do the repetition of the good habits to install it, you won't get the outcome in the long term. So it's got to be a long-term game that we play here. Just like with any relationship, it's a long term. Your marriage is a long term. The kindness isn't once in a while. It's got to be always. Everything's got to be always. It's a constant thing. So start to develop a long term. Begin with the end in mind. What's the what do you want them to say? I think everyone should probably do their eulogy early and think about it. Like, what do I want to people to say? When you recently, when we were at my son's function, that's he's 31 years and my dad was probably 50, I'm not sure. But no one was there at my dad's, right? My son was filled. So begin with the end in mind. What's the legacy that you want to leave and start to work towards that and have this sense of a long-term gratification. You may not be here. Martin Luther King kind of brings me back to his thing. I can see he's been to the mountaintop and saw the other side. I may not get there with you, but he did this long-term vision. And in the moment, he kept doing little steps to get there. And here we are. We're enjoying his vision. So what's your vision for, your eulogy? What you want to see? But when you go, is it just a meh? Oh, well, move on, or is it a wow? Let me just sit down and this one hit me, right? Which reaction are we looking for here, right? So, I've seen a lot of people go, oh, well, move on. It's on to the next thing. So, pain versus pleasure is what I wrote down. In the moment, there's dealing with the I heard one of my clients actually, he shared this with me. He said, and it was powerful because I asked my client to do wow moments because he and his wife were not, their timing was off, let's put it that way, with each other. And they had two kids, and the kids, they were they were a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Not to be too harsh, but they seemed to be cumbersome with the kids, and they were yeah, the kids was a little bit of a hindrance in a way, or whatever it might be, whatever the word I'm looking for here is. But I said, start talking about wow moments. So he started to install wow moments, and I said, you have to, since I'm coaching you, I'm not going to talk about your partner. I'll talk to you. You have to start to take responsibility, and if you feel it's not being done, then you take responsibility. So he started doing that. Then he started to realize that what they were doing was when the kids are off, they're so wanting more time for themselves, that not together, but for themselves personally, that they were just, when the kids got home, it was feed them dinner, put them in front of the thing, and just wait for 8 p.m. when they put them to bed so they can basically have some downtime to themselves and then go to bed themselves. And then weekends, it was about taskless and, getting ready to get task and get them through it and get through the weekend. They weren't really living with the kids. They weren't really enjoying them. They were just, again, and that happens to people. They're working all day. They come home to get them to dinner, get them to, it's taskless, and the week is over. So we have to be careful of, I know we get busy in our own lives and we get going but and I can appreciate that. Where those time when they're from school, 4 p.m. or whatever, they get home to when you put them to bed, it's about getting stuff done, just because 5 day week, the 5 day week, we're in this mode of taskless to the 5 day week. But that goes pretty damn quick and they grow and they're gone. And so we have to break that taskless and start to really nurture. Remember, earn and not given. This is a long-term play. So then Ray, you're talking about this idea of this menu, I call it, that your wife gave you. Check it. Would you like it here? Would you like it there? Would you like this? Or would you like that? And the kids are all in. That's a beautiful thing where they're thinking about this, like they're planning this. Your wife is putting this together and the kids collaborate and they're all kind of coming together and how could we make dad happy? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build a list and a menu, and you're gonna ask him to, and they have you in mind in this loving space in their mind. And when you think about that loving space that they put you in to create this list, that was earned. That was earned. Because there's some people that they don't have that loving space. They've been such a son of a bitch to their family that there's nobody. As I said, my one client, yeah, I can see now that they're older, I can hear what they've done, the work they've done or not done. Because now they're like, oh, they never do anything for us. I don't know how they get, but I'm like, listen, they never do anything because they didn't create that space for them to create this loving space. So earned and not given. We have to start thinking about what are we investing in this to get back. Investment is a great word. When we invest in something, stocks, artwork, whatever, there's a reason why I invest in it. Buying something is different than investment. When I buy something, it goes. When I invest in it, I'm looking for a return, ROI. We're investing right now in the early years. We're investing so we get an ROI. And Ray, you're getting it early. You're getting a good ROI right now, and it's going to keep getting richer. And so that's what I want us to think about is where are you investing your time, your energy, your love? And is there a good ROI coming back? And if there's not, invest happily anyways, because you're going to get it regardless. So the final thought I was thinking here was also, um, what if somebody, so here we are, we're talking about these ideals, you invest in, and Ray, you're getting it back right now. Charlie, we've gotten ours at some points. And you think, what if you're in this situation where you do invest in? We're always talking about the ideal, but there's nothing coming back out. It, you know, you've done the investment. Maybe it was a marriage choice or a relationship choice that you turned south on you. It's sour. And there's no, because we're always talking about the best case scenario, but what about the worst case scenario? What should someone do at that point? Right? What should they do at that point? And because not everything's ideal. What if you invest and it doesn't pay off and da da da, right? So that's something I wanted to touch on is yes, Ray, we're talking to Ray right now, but we've all been there. Right? So Ray now is investing in his family, and it's coming back. It's amazing. What if you get this person listening, going, "Well, that's not my situation. You know, I invested, but mm, this person, I don't get that back. I'm actually getting treated worse." Boom, boom. So that's a conversation, a quick conversation I want us to touch on.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And, when we make the investment in ourselves as far as the character we're building, right? And it's always amazing to me, and a friend of mine told me this, that because our character becomes our reputation, right? And a friend of mine told me that your reputation always arrives before you do. And that is so true. And so even though we may be in a relationship where we feel like our investment's not paying off, for instance, but because of the character that we're building, let's say that relationship fails, we've built a character that will succeed in the right relationship. But if we haven't invested in ourselves and building that type of character, then relationship after relationship after relationship will fail because we haven't invested in our character enough to make it sustainable, to make it attractive, and to create long term success. So even though we may not currently seem to be benefiting, that's short term. Long term, we are benefiting because of who we are and the type of relationships, because of our character, we're going to build meaningful relationships with others. And those relationships are so valuable in the long term, those friendships. I mean, how many people go to sleep every night and don't know what a real friend is? Have never had a real friend. When you have a real friend, there's just no substitute for that. There's no substitute for that relationship because you'll understand the depth and the meaning that that really encompasses, or really investing and having a great relationship with your spouse or partner. No substitute for that, right? Or having invested in building a meaningful relationship with your children. Once again, priceless. No substitute for that. However, the common denominator in all of those relationships is you and the character that you bring to them. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, character is obviously the key, and what we invest determines everything. And obviously, Charlie, you often talk about your father. Alvin, you often talk about your father. Okay, without getting into any detail, one question we forget or fail to ask ourselves very often. Let's say as a coach for me, okay? I I try to ask myself, would I like to be coached by me? You know, if there was someone in the audience while you're speaking, Charlie, just asking yourself, would these people really like, if it was me in their place, would I like me as a speaker? Okay. It turns the mirror back at us. Okay. It turns the mirror back at us. And same thing as a father. Would I like to have me as a father? because if because now what happens is that I can dig into the truth. Okay. And I can be honest with myself and be okay. Am I just giving excuses and saying it's always someone else's fault, and that's okay? Or am I going back, looking at me and saying, whatever situation that I'm in, what am I investing into me? Okay, because we all know life's not always fair, and not everyone has the best intentions, sadly, but that's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. But if we invest in ourselves, if we build ourselves, as Charlie said, and I wholeheartedly believe in that, we're gonna ultimately attract the right things. And maybe in the situation that we're in, uh, it will hurt, it will not be fair, but it will give us the strength to move on to what's good for us. Okay, to move on for what's good for us and for what we ultimately deserve. Okay, in adult life, what I see a lot is that a lot of people are so caught up in the day to day and are so caught up in sometimes not necessarily having the priorities that are aligned to their true happiness. They stop investing in those true meaningful relationships. The friends that were close to them, they stop calling, and we stop calling ourselves, and next thing you know, no one's calling, and you're not calling anyone. Even as brothers, family members, right? Family members growing up in the same house, being so close, and then life happens, and you have this, and you have work, and you have life, and you start just thinking about calling someone to checking on them, and next thing you know, this gap continues to widen and widen and widen. Investment, investment, right? So obviously, if we're gonna give something good to somebody else, we need to give something good to us by investing in us. Okay, by building that character. That again, we will be faced with challenge in this lifetime. We always talk about it. Pain is non-negotiable. Okay, it will knock at your doorstep. It will be there. Um, if you don't invest in your character, man, this is gonna be very difficult, you know, to finally open the door and say, maybe this house isn't the house I'm supposed to be in. Maybe this is not for me and I need to move on. And with this character and the strength I've built, I'm able to go to the next step. And in the next step, here's what is that as you find the right people, those people also invest in themselves and they expect certain things. Okay, they expect certain things. So that's that's how I see investment in general. Okay, is that as Alvin said, also keep the end in mind. Keep the end in mind. Remember what it is when you think about your life, when all is said and done, what is it supposed to look like? Do you want to be surrounded with friends, surrounded with family? Well, it starts today, but what you invest in, by the people that you keep, by, let's say, just for us showing up here, you know, for years on out on Sundays. It's an investment. If we don't do it, guess what happens? It just disappears, you know? And the listeners don't get to maybe hear something different every single week. And even for us, we don't get to continue to sharpen, you know, these thoughts and these muscles that are so important. So that's kind of how I see it. Let's first look at ourselves and let's ask ourselves, what would I like me as a father? Would I like me as a coach? Would I like me as a boss, as a co-worker? Answer this honestly. And then if we have cracks in our character, hey, we're in a time now where we're so lucky. We have a million ways to learn and to grow. Let's take advantage of them. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right. Great conversations. Your character precedes you. Absolutely. Uh, and would I like me as dot dot dot. And here's how I'm gonna summarize it as we bring it around. The word that's coming to me, my one word, and I'll give it now before you guys steal it at the end. is investment. Because I see Charlie sharpening his chops over there. Investment. Think about that for a second. Everything we kind of talk about goes back to investment. And Ray, you were talking about at some point in our lives, different things. We have different things we invest in. When we were younger, it's our friendships with our boys, and if with your girls, if right, and then you meet a girl or you're another partner, and you invest in that, and then the other ones kind of fade a little bit more, and then your job, your school, your career, different investment at different times, and it's no different than a stock. You know, if we elaborate on this and the metaphorically look at the stock market or your investments for your retirement, kind of the same thing. If I a mutual fund, I got to invest regularly and steadily and so forth. And the one I invest in more, this vehicle, I invest in it because I expect to get a ROI, a big ROI on this one. This one's a good stock. It's moving nice. It's an Apple stock or whatever stock. I'm going to invest more in this one at that time. But then I have to remember if I take my eye off of the Microsoft one over here, it's going to go down. So I got to keep this nice spread on my investments. Where am I investing to where I want to end up? In my health. Where's your health right now? Are you investing in it for the long term? So now you have to take this pool of money, call our attention, and we have to invest it in where we want us the long term, begin with the end in mind. Do I want a balanced portfolio at the end? Or do I want, this an overabundance in this one stock? But here's the problem with the overabundance in one vehicle. When Apple hits a crash at one point and they have a real downturn, all the investment is taking a dip, which is why it's nice to have a nice balanced portfolio in different areas, right? To go on. So when you look at if we wrap it back to the conversation we were having, Ray, you've highly at this point at this time invested in your family. I'd say 70% of your portfolio is your family right now. They're investing and the return and ROI is coming back early. Some dividends are being paid right now, are being paid out. And then, earlier before kids, it was maybe that the portfolio was in your business. Maybe it was in your wife earlier before that even. She got 50% maybe. So I'm going to ask the question is where are you investing? So what end do you want to have? How much do you want to have when you retire from all of this gameplay? At your retirement age, what do you want to have? How much do you want to have? And right now, where are you investing your money, which is your attention, your time, your love, your passion, your energy? Where are you investing it? Because time's ticking and it does fly fast. And you don't want to be old and broke and unable to invest anymore. It takes that much longer to get those riches back. So where are you investing your time? Right there, Ray just, if you're not on screen, Ray just brought one of his investments on the screen. All right. He's got his newer investment. This one's a newer stock. Um, he's got, but he's investing some. Now he took some from here and now he's putting into another investment. So, but they're paying him back in riches. This one's smaller, but it's paying him off in riches. So yeah, so my point to wrap it up is think about what you want, what the retirement you want to have in those years. And now you think to yourself today, where am I investing my attention, which is money? And actually, it's so funny as I keep talking about this. What is money today? How is money earned or garnered today? Attention. We're really getting that. Those who have the greatest attention today have the most money. That's why we call them influencers. These names come up now, influencers, because those influencers getting paid very well because they have attention. So when you think about it, for us, where's your attention? Is in your health. Where's your health at? How much do you invest in your health? How much do you invest in your finance? How much do you invest in your friendships, your marriage, your relationships, your job? Because you're gonna get that ROI. Your ROI will be equal to the investment you pay now. So that's a wrap on that. Was my last piece. Anybody wants to input on that last piece?
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, as you were speaking, I was thinking about what's my word for the week gonna be. And it's becoming, right? We're constantly becoming. So as we go through our lives and our days, the actions that we're taking, the investments that we're making, what are we becoming as a result of that?
Mhm.
So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I love that one, Charlie. Because you're right, we're always becoming, right? I'll go with focus. And Alvin touched on it, is that you need to align your investment, right? Looking at your portfolio, where you want to put certain things. And for me, I also feel like when we focus on something, we get to get better at it, we get to grow it. Let's just make sure we're focusing on the right things, you know, for the investment we're putting on. You know, if we're focusing on the wrong thing, it can completely tarnish our perspective of reality. Mm. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Love it. Love it. So as we wrap it up, we have on the call Dr. Charlie, Alvin, Raymond, and Eli. And so that's it's all about investment, everyone. So your takeaway from us is think about it on this day when we as fathers are grateful and proud. We want you to think about where are you investing your current time? What's it? First of all, let's begin with where do you want to end? When you look back at your life, write your eulogy, as we said, and begin with the end in mind. And then think about, geez, if I want to end there, if that's how I want to end, then where am I investing today? Your future creates your present, right? Your future outcome will should create your present actions. Do I want to be, what do I want to look like, feel like, and have in my life? So, where are you investing your time? And what outcome do you want? Remember, you're making the bed now that you're gonna lie in. So, that's it. You guys all, everybody listening, have a great Sunday. Well, for us it's a Sunday, but whenever you listen to it, have a great day. Keep pursuing mastery. And fellas, did you gave your one word, Charlie? You gave yours? Yeah. Okay, excellent. I was vibing on the story behind it. All right. So until next time, my friends, you know what we say, right, fellas? We wish you what? Peace.
Peace,
I'm gonna give you
love,
the love. Yes.
and
And
so
some
yes.
soul. There we go. All right, everybody. If you know somebody who's looking for that impact, I am planning. I've been sparked. I'm planning a lot of things in the rest of this year. In the fall, we were looking to have a virtual. It's going to be online. I'm looking to have a virtual greatness or mastery event, and it's going to be. The goal is to twice a year have events with speakers, and the main players are going to be my boys here. And then we have some speakers to come in, and we're just going to build this thing and build a tribe of a crusade of people who are seekers and mastery enthusiasts. So stay tuned for that. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And again, we wish you peace, love, and soul. Until next time.